All right. Hello, 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 hello. Aloha kakahiaka. Aloha kakahiaka. Everyone, today is November 12th, and you are on the Aloha Friday Hawaii Real Estate Show. It is, we've changed our time because of the time difference. It's 10 a.m. Hawaii time, but it should be the same time as your time as it was when we had the show last. I'm your host, Peter Kay, and I am here with my friends. We are warming up our microphones, getting everything ready, getting the stream going, and everyone's kind of showing up already. I'm here with my friend Dylan Nonaka, who's at a secret bunker location, which we cannot say where he is. We're here with Scott Startzman, who is hanging out from Oahu, and that's a real live background, not a fake Zoom video looping background behind you. Hey, Scott, and Heidi Dollinger, who hails us from the beautiful Maui no Kaoi Island. Welcome, everyone. Let's kind of go around and warm up our microphones. Let's go counterclockwise. Heidi, how's it going over there?
Well, it's a gorgeous day on Maui, super clear. From my lanai, I can see the island of Molokai, it's a separate island, but it's also part of Maui County, and it's just super clear today and gorgeous. And it's later than usual because we have no daylight savings time, so we're starting at 10. So I already feel like I had a full day of working.
Well, maybe if you're in the Scott Startzman multiple cups of coffee cup, what's the coffee today, Heidi? And have you polished it off? You must have polished it off already.
I already drank my coffee for today.
Excellent. Scott, how's it going, buddy? Give us a quick update. Mic check.
Yeah, it's great. It feels like we're getting closer to that winter weather. And because we started an hour later today, I was able to get out and go do a half-mile swim. So I feel absolutely amazing right now. It was actually an interesting swim, though, because there was that surf up and it was high tide. So when it comes in, where I swim is at Queens Beach in between the natatorium and the jetty there. So it's a quarter mile down, quarter mile back. And because there was surf and high tide, it hits against the wall and comes back. So I get it from both directions. I got to be careful how I'm breathing and not swallowing water, but awesome. I feel amazing today.
I want to hear more about that swim in a minute here, because it's kind of funny, the plane. I'm hearing the plane that just went over by your place, just past my house. So it's kind of cool. I was the plane going over mine. I muted my mic, and now it's going over to you. How cool is that? That's funny. Interesting. The weather. We got a bunch of friends who are coming in. Let's say hello to all of our friends real quick here. First, we got Chris. Chris is back. Chris Longlike. Chris is great to see you, buddy. Happy Aloha Friday. He was the first one on the show today, and then right behind him was Joan Valentine, who is a member of the Islander Ohana, which recently we just finished our fall 2021 cohort. Joan is a member of that. Joan actually moved to Oahu as well. So welcome, Joan. Good to see you. Tom Kerr is back. Tom is also now an alumni of the Islander Ohana. Tom is a great part of it. And Tom, great to see you. Good to be back. We got some questions that he had posed. And Corey Sr., happy Aloha Friday. Oh, Corey, great to have you back with I don't think you've been back. I have not seen your name. I think this is your first time. Love the Cadillac logo, by the way. That's kind of a cool way to pop that in there. Cadillac updated their logo. Val is back. Welcome, Val. Good morning. Aloha. All good to see you, Val. It's like the whole gang, like family is like renew. It's like we're getting back to the family meeting here. Tom is back. Hey, Tom, welcome back, buddy. Good to see you. Aloha, everyone. With the shotgun and the logo, and of course, Ray is back. Ray is also an alumni of the Islander Ohana, and Ray hails us actually from Oahu, as is Kelly. The Ohana is all back. This is so cool. And Kelly is back with us. Kelly is my favorite. She self-declared bi-coastal resident. She has she lives in Los Angeles and in Hawaii, which is kind of totally cool. Also a alumni of the Islander Ohana, as is Natasha. Aloha, love the Queens Beach and love that swim. Good bodyboarding there too. Yeah, that's why there's a good reason why Waikiki was the place where the royalty, where kings would go on vacay. There's a very, very good reason. It's the most perfect place on earth in so many ways. Patrick is back with us. Aloha, Patrick, back from Raleigh, North Carolina. Patrick, good to see you back, Patrick. Excellent, good back. And Juliana, Aloha Friday. Good. Welcome, Juliana. Glad you're here. You must be Scott's friend or Scott's contact. I see Scott waving over there. That's totally cool. And Alex Martin, Aloha from Cali. Yeah, this is great, man. Everyone's over here. Good to see everybody. Thank you all for coming over here. Pop your questions in. We're going to be taking questions. The live questions are the ones that we're going to take first or in priority, in addition to the other ones that we have. So we're making our rounds here with Dylan. Dylan, who's in a secret, undisclosed location. What's going on over there, my friend?
I made it. That's the main thing. So yeah, I'm in Vegas this week. Not too secret, but I had a company conference, so I've been here since Monday. So it's been a long week, but a good little break from Hawaii makes you appreciate Hawaii, and looking forward to going back. But I got another day or two here before I do that. So
isn't that the truth? What's the what this time around? What was the biggest thing that kind of struck you? The Hawaii, like I'm not in Hawaii kind of thing that struck you this time when you're in Vegas.
Yesterday, I realized I didn't go outside for 3 days straight. Like I hadn't seen the sunlight or gotten any fresh air in 3 days. And that's just it never happens when I'm at home, right? I mean, I'm outside constantly. So it's
well,
weird.
that's what those Vegas things are designed for, right? Vegas is designed to keep you in the, Vegas is designed to keep you in the casino.
Yeah. Well, it was a conference. So it was we're literally indoors, in a conference room in different breakout rooms for 3 days straight. And then I went outside last night and I was like, man, it's the first time I've been outside in 3 days. This is crazy. So
what's the current COVID thing over there, if anything? Masking, social distancing, anything going on, or just like?
I think COVID only exists in Hawaii. Everywhere else, the COVID doesn't exist anymore. That was my experience in Boston. It was my experience in Texas. I've traveled a couple of times in the last 3 months. So just Hawaii.
Well, let me tell you, it may just be limited to Oahu because I had a family member who went. I had a family member who went to Kauai and said, no one's masking over there. I walk in the restaurants, there's no masking, no one's checking anything. It's all kind of, so, not too sure. Oh, hey, so Nina Feldman put my house on the market at OV, Ocean View. Big Island is, I'm going to make guess what that means. Excellent, Nina. Hope good luck to that. Maybe we have a buyer for you. Is there anybody who wants to buy Nina's place? Maybe we can kind of make a connection right here on the Big Island. All right. Hey, look, it's actually 10:02. We should get started. Let's kind of roll ourselves into the next kind of segment. Let me give you all some quick news updates over here. Let's kind of do it this way here. Okay, great. So a lot of stuff going on over here, and I want to hear what Scott's got to say. It looks like there is a crackdown, I believe, that's coming for short-term rentals on Oahu. We had touched on this over the show. There's an increasing tension. What's going on? On one hand, you have people that live in residential areas that are being overrun by illegal vacation rentals, and on the other hand, so they want to crack down on that. But on the other hand, you have people that have legit vacation rentals that the laws are being overly strict. For example, they're going to go from, there used to be a 30 days. There was a 30-day. If you were 30 days, you were okay. You were not. If you were over 30 days, you were not considered a short-term vacation rental. Now it's got to be over 180 days to not be considered a short-term vacation rental. These laws haven't been passed, but they're making their way through. So there's a lot going on. Looks like there's also going to be a vacancy tax. Vacancy tax, which is coming on. That's going to be kind of weird. Vacancy tax meaning that there's a lot of properties, apparently a lot of properties on Oahu, which are being bought by foreign investors, or investors in general. It doesn't matter if you're foreign or not. They're being bought by investors, but they're being left empty. And one of the reasons that people are stating that they're being left empty is there's economic incentive to leave them empty. There's very low property tax in Hawaii. So what they're talking about is kind of increasing the vacancy tax. In other words, if a unit is vacant, it's going to be subject to an additional property tax. That's going to be interesting. We talked about international buyers. International buyers, it looks like they're on their way. That was the article going on with COVID. That's loosening up. Looks like actually a Korean market might be one of the first markets opening up, and it may be unleashing quite a bit of buyers coming from Asia. So South Korea is going to be the interesting one. Japan's been traditionally the biggest one, but Japanese are subject to a 10-day quarantine when they go home. So they're not expecting a big rush from Japan, but they are expecting one from South Korea. So I'll be interested to kind of see what our friends think about that, Heidi and Scott and Dylan. Masking forever. Now, this one is interesting. I want to hear what my team thinks about this one. So on one hand, we're being told by the lieutenant governor that they may be dropping the mask mandates in January if things stay low, if the cases stay low. But on the other hand, there's stories that the cases are spiking in Europe. It looks like there may be spiking also on the mainland. And if that happens, the masking is going to be going on forever. So it'll be interesting. And then finally, Kauai just hit their $1 million mark. The median sale price of homes on Kauai hit $1 million last month. Condos at 729. So the market's all over the place. You look at our COVID counts. The COVID thing is pretty much. Let me zoom in this a little bit so you can kind of see the COVID graphs are pretty much down. The fatality rates down. The cases are down. We'll see what's going to happen. And of course, the weather is perfect. So with that, let's kind of go around. And why don't we do this? Let's kind of loop this in. We normally have like a real estate news and a island news. Why don't we kind of loop both in and talk about kind of whatever you want to talk about related to either island news or island real estate news or island real estate updates. So let me kind of bring up the slide so that we kind of can get a sense for where we're at. So we're gonna try kind of we're gonna try to morph the real estate update to also be an island news update. So why don't we do it? Let's go in clockwise format. Dylan, and then Scott, and then Heidi. Dylan, give me the update. What are you hearing on the Big On? What's going on?
Not a whole lot significant. I mean, I've actually been out of the loop this week, so I haven't been keeping up with any news locally. But from a real estate standpoint, the market continues to be strong, but we're seeing a slowdown in the number of units that are selling, and we've been talking about this for the last couple of months, mainly just because there's not as much on the market to sell. So like last month, there was 51 homes sold. In the Kona market, there was 67 sold 12 months ago in October. So that's going to continue. The median prices are continuing to be up. They're up 100,000 in my market, in the Kona market from a year ago. So it was around 850 last year. It's 970 this year. So nothing's really changing. Inventory is still not at record lows, and so
market's still tight.
It's kind of status quo. Yeah, it's the tight status quo from the last 5-6 months has been the same. Right. Yeah.
What's
we hit the bottom? We hit the bottom in July, right, of inventory, and then it creeped up a little bit. Went from like 330 back up to 400 homes on the island, and then we're kind of just hovering around 400, 420. When normally that number is 1,000 or 1,300. So still significantly down.
Well, let's see. I think we got Alex here is looking to buy a condo on the main island. Well, Alex, what's the main island? What main island are we talking about? There's some people might think that the Big Island is the main island because it's the largest, but others would say that Oahu is the main island because Oahu is where the capital is, and also where Honolulu is. So let us know. Sounds like you, Alex, that I would guess main island would be Oahu, where there's vacation rentals and VRBO, and there's a whole bunch of stuff going on about that I think Scott is going to let us up on. Let's see, Nina. Yeah, so I think that's that. We'll carry. Paul, we'll take your question in a sec about the why we may not be doing the Singapore model or why we might be doing the Singapore model. Depends. But anyway, that's that. So Dylan, I'm just kind of curious, is there any kind of update on what's the cultural vibe on the Big On with masking and social distancing, etc.? Here, I got to say it's pretty strict. Yeah, Alex says Oahu. Okay, great. So Alex, real quick, in the description of either you're coming in over Facebook, in the Facebook description, there's a link. Click on that link. There's a form. Pop it in, and we'll have Scott follow up with you on that right away. Dylan, what's the vibe here on Oahu is that people are still. I mean, I'm still seeing people with their masks on in the car by themselves with the windows rolled up. That's my favorite line. What's your sense of that on the Big On? Anything? I'm just kind of curious.
I don't think it's really changed. From the beginning, we've talked about in the past that people are, relatively compliant, right? I mean, people don't, aren't, they're not contrarian here, right? So most people have just, you got to wear your mask to go into Walmart, they wear their mask. But I feel like, and I've talked about this before, I think people publicly follow, whatever the mandate is at the time. We don't have any additional mandates on top of what the state puts out. You guys have in Oahu, you have kind of like additional mandates that the county puts on in addition to the state mandates. So we don't have any of those. But privately, I mean, I've been to many gatherings and private parties and stuff, and even like at hotels and stuff like that. Like once the doors close on the meeting room, people take off their masks and do whatever they're going to do, right? So once there's no eyes on and you can't get in trouble or yelled at anymore, people just do whatever they want. So
right. So we're yielding to public peer pressure and following the rules like we always do in Hawaii. You're very right. Hawaii, the local culture, I think it's I'd have to say it's as a result of a largely Asian impact. It's very much go along to get along. Right. What's one of the famous sayings I that comes to mind right now is the nail that sticks out gets pounded. Right. That's I used to hear that one a lot. Scott, give us the update. What's going on Oahu? What are you seeing? Any reflection on the short-term rental thing? Anything else you want to add about Oahu news?
Yeah, on the short-term rental component, I'm hearing rumors that is going to pass, and I said my piece a few shows ago. I don't agree with it. I think it's going to be a train wreck, and I think it's that there's going to be zero benefit from it. I think it's going to be actually worse. I've never seen the neighborhoods being overrun with vacation rentals. Yeah, there were some problems in that bill significantly that they passed a couple of years ago. I think it was Bill 89, if I'm not mistaken. Significantly handled it, and the DPP never even gave it a chance to get off the ground. Now they're wanting to change things and be even more restrictive. I think the unintended consequences of it are going to be far worse than the benefits. As far as the vacancy tax, I don't understand that one either. I mean, the $3 million condo by someone who's from Japan that leaves it vacant in YA or something, it's not like a local person's going to be able to afford the rent on that or afford to buy it. So, whatever. There's not a whole lot to say about it really, other than we'll see.
Well, it's one of these things where you're gonna, you speak your piece. Everyone, does their testimony, and then you kind of the political winds go where they go. Unfortunately, for lack of a better thing. Really quick, I wanted to give a quick a recognition, a shout out to Auntie Joyce. Auntie's home 93 days away. Auntie Joyce, that is you've been away for a long time. It's been at least about a month, if not two already. So. I hope you're having a good time there, but we are glad that you are here with us, and hope you're here and reconnect.
I think she's saying she was away for 93 days, so she's finally home. So it's 2 months she was gone. Yeah.
Okay, good. All right. I thought it was like 93 days away from coming home. So good. Auntie is home. Okay, thank you. I get it now. See, thanks Dylan for that shift. It's funny, right? I kind of read into what I wanted to read into it. Right.
It's not what you write; it's what people read.
That's right. So now I read to say Auntie is home. She was away for 93 days, but now she's home. Good to have you back home. Regardless, Heidi, give us the update over there. Heidi, we heard the news that Jeff Bezos bought a 78. Here, gang. How about this, gang? Jeff Bezos. I don't know if you all saw this in the news now. Jeff Bezos. Let me zoom in on me here. Jeff Bezos bought a $78 million property on Maui. Now that's got to be one heck of a property. And I was just really hoping that Heidi was the one that sold it to him. Heidi, give us the update on what's going on in Maui.
Yes, that was a very exciting and notable sale. Unfortunately, I was not the agent on that one. But Maui's doing great. I guess there is some news yesterday. Upcountry on Maui has been experiencing some drought conditions, and it's not impacting so much the area where I live and some parts of the island, but it's just been really dry. And the governor actually signed an emergency proclamation the other day because of drought conditions on Maui. So hopefully some of the farmers and ranchers being affected up there will get some aid. Now, as far as real estate news, I mean, I think it's interesting that over half of sales are closing at or above list price. I mean, that was not the case a few years ago. And I know we've been talking about the market. October on Maui, the median price of single family home dropped below $1 million. It's at $983,500 now. And for condos, median price is at $650,000. And number of transactions is up, almost 100% compared to last year. So it's been a busy year. There have not been, besides Jeff Bezos, not as many of the high-end luxury homes closed last month as were closing like around April and May this year. But it's really too early to tell if that's really a change. The market's been more or less stable in the, stable and bananas.
Stable, but I think that's the thing that's really rather remarkable, because the consistent thing I'm catching from all you folks is that the market is sort of the new status quo, if you will, not to call it a new normal, but the new status quo is kind of really very favorable seller conditions. Prices are going for over list. It's not a lot of inventory. Scott, you want to add anything into that?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I think we're going to have a little bit of slowdown in the numbers because it's holiday times, and we're going to see a little bit of the hangover from when Ige said, "Don't come and visit." Right? Then, if you have less visitors here, you're probably going to have some less transactions. I'm seeing a little blip in the condo side, but the fundamentals themselves, the inventory itself, is not growing. And that Hawaii Kai home I brought on the market last week had over 70 parties through my open house. It was exhausting. And I had 10 offers, were almost 200,000 over asking. There were 40 showings during brokers open times on this Manoa property I'm going to be putting an offer in on over the weekend. And then there's one in even a condo in Mililani that I'm going to be putting an offer in on. Last two sold at 105% list to sales price ratio. So there's enough buyers. Even if we slow down a little bit, there's enough buyers in the market just to keep steamrolling this thing forward.
And there are those new buyers from South Korea who are apparently going to be coming, as we have mentioned many shows ago. So it's going to be I think we're going to be in for kind of a little bit of a wild ride here, gang. So let's do this. Let's kind of take a few of the questions that are going on. So the quick one for Alex, who now we've identified as the main island is Oahu, and is going to be Alex, get a hold of us, and we'll have Scott work with you on it. VRBO, what are the rules for condos and apartment can I rent it short term? So the quick answer is it depends. And this is why you want to kind of work with someone like Scott, who's been doing this for 20 years. The laws are changing. And so what is going to be a VRBO is not going to be a VRBO. It's going to be changing dramatically. So you definitely want to get a hold of someone because there is no blanket answer. The rules have changed, and they have changed significantly. Scott, anything quickly you want to add to that?
No, vacation rental component, you're going to be resort zoning. Right now, residential is minimum 30-day, but it looks like that might change. So, yeah.
Great. Okay, so let's hit this other one, which I think is interesting. We've talked about this one before indirectly. So Paul Carl Lukacs gave us a question. Why doesn't Hawaii do what Singapore did, build lots of large towers to provide more housing for locals? Paul, the simple answer is that, and Dylan and I have not gone back and forth, but Dylan and I have had a lot of fun about this discussion. There's an interesting paradox in Hawaii, and that is if you go into an average crowd of people, say you walk into let's say a restaurant in Hawaii, a middle class restaurant, and you ask people to, by a show of hands, who would like to have more affordable housing? Yes, who would like to have more affordable housing? Everyone's hand's going to go up, of course. Yeah. And then if you ask people, well, who would like to have more development? Who wants to have more homes put in Hawaii, more homes built in Hawaii? Who would like to have more development? Show of hands. No one's hands are going to go up. No one's hands are going to go up. And people don't quite understand the economic trade-off between supply and demand. So, Paul, the reason why we're probably never going to see Singapore condos go up is because if you told the people of Hawaii that their island would look like Singapore, there would be, people in Hawaii don't get upset about too many things, but they get upset about more development. And you would definitely, absolutely, positively, there would be torches and pitchforks. I guarantee you, there would be torches and pitchforks at every possible public meeting if there was going to be, like, if someone had a proposal. Actually, there is a Senator Stanley Chang in Hawaii did put together a proposal to do exactly that, to have government-built housing on the Singapore model. And I believe it got shut down dramatically. Dylan, you want to comment on that at all? That's one of your favorite topics, I think.
Well, there's also this very practical thing. Oahu doesn't have this, but I think Maui, Kauai, and the Big Island, we have a restriction on how high you can build, right? So you can't even build above 7 stories on the Big Island. So you'd have to do a whole change or exception to the zoning code to build any type of high-rise tower. There's a couple that were built, in like the 70s. I don't know if it was before it was enacted or they got around it somehow with political connections. But if you look at most of our hotels, they're 4 or 5 stories tall. We don't have any high rises on the Big Island.
There's you talk about height restrictions in the Cook Islands. We have family who's from the Cook Islands. In the Cook Islands, the height restriction is you can't have a building that's higher than the tallest coconut tree. So they have the coconut tree limit, and it's still in effect to this day. It's good fun.
That's a great model. I like that.
It's totally, well, I mean, that's why the Cooks is so cool and fun. Okay. Why don't we do this? Scott, is there anything else you want to add to that real quick on the super metal? Is there anything?
No, I mean, there has been some public-private development for lower income housing, and then like Ulana, there's some forced components. Anytime there's a tower that gets built, a certain percentage of them have to be for reserved housing or affordable housing and whatnot. So there's some incentives that are put in, and that's probably for now until somebody reinvents the wheel and gets it pushed through politically, which is a difficult thing to do. It's probably not going to change off of that too much.
I saw something. Good.
Let's also, not forget about the dynamic in Hawaii that we, currently have a $3 billion rail system that's going to cost probably upwards of 15 and is still not finished and way behind schedule. So there's not a whole lot of trust in putting huge projects in the government's hands to build amongst the populace here.
Yeah, that'd be another good one. How many billions do you trust your public officials to get any project done on time, on budget? Yeah, you are not kidding. Quick shout out, Dylan, back from Alex. Happy Veterans Day, former Army here. Awesome. Yeah, happy Veterans Day.
Back at you.
Right back at you. Absolutely great. And Lynn is here with us. Lynn Walker. Aloha, everyone. It's nice to see you. But yeah, Lynn, we're glad you're here. Glad with everybody else. We got lots of people who are here today with us. All right. Let's move on. I kind of our big topic for today is going to be about retiring in Hawaii. We've got a bunch of slides. Let me kind of go over really quick all the various slides that were submitted to us. I want to kind of put all this together and talk about this topic in general. So really, what I thought about on retiring is, let's talk about maybe some of the best districts on the islands, on our respective islands, that would be good for retirees. Maybe some home features when you talk to people who are retiring. What kind of home features should they be think about? Of course, what are the financial considerations? Are the tax implications and things of that nature? And finally, impact on family. Those are the big topics. Let me go through a couple of slides that we're going to kind of loop all together into this one. So we have another Heidi from San Francisco who said, "Hey, what area is better for retirement? Hilo, Ke'au, Hawaii Paradise Park, etc." So there's a question for you, Dylan. Or the other one, this came from Tom. Tom, a member of the Islander Ohana, asked about retirement communities. Are there any 55 plus communities? There's one in Lihue, but it's leasehold properties. Is there anything else? There's another kind of a sample. Here's one, Dan from Mill Valley, who said, "Hey, I want to retire in Hawaii in 5 years. I've got about 10,000 of monthly income. I don't have the money to purchase, but what's the cost range for an oceanfront apartment if I want to get a 1 to 2 bedroom? I'm not a big city guy. I'm a trail runner, so I want some swimming and things. That I'm a former Ironman competitor. So again, this is a combination of the financial aspect combined with a district. And here's someone that wants to they're retired and they want to buy some land on the big island, live off the grid. What about internet access? What about electricity, etc. So there's again a sample of the kinds of questions that I've been getting. Tom was also about price brackets. I think we took care of Tom's question earlier offline, but those are basically the kind of setup that we've got. So why don't we do this? Why don't we just kind of have, if you were kind of approached by someone that is retired or will be retiring in Hawaii, either the best districts or home features or finances or impact on family, what kind of advice would you give them? And let's kind of go counterclockwise. Heidi, why don't we start with you? What kind of things would you suggest for if someone was going to be retiring in Maui?
Well, Maui's an amazing place to live. So I think that's incredible. I would definitely recommend spending some time vacationing on Maui prior to making a permanent move like that, just to see which areas you like, which neighborhoods. I mean, what's nice about Maui is there's lots of things to do. There's lots of resources, but it's not a big city. It's really easy to drive around places. It's really easy to park, things like that. There's no 55 and older or 65 and older communities per se, but there tends to be communities and neighborhoods where retirees gravitate towards just because the type of property is just suitable to that type of living. What a lot of people look for are single level homes, something with a view. It's very rare to find a condominium with a garage on Maui. That is extremely rare. You pretty much need to have a single family home to have a garage. And it's also in looking with clients at residential condominiums, there's not a lot of residential condominiums in the resort areas that don't have any stairs. A lot of these were just built with stairs because they're kind of built on a ridge or built to maximize views. So for some people, that's a consideration. For some people, it's not. But I would say, you know, first step, spend some time on vacation and exploring the areas where you think you'd be interested in being.
Yeah, the stairs are a big thing. You don't kind of every time my parents' home has stairs, and I'm younger than my parents, of course, and I just do not like the idea. I got go up and down this kind of spiral staircase to go. It's really cool looking, but man, I got to go up and down the spiral staircase to go to my bedroom. It's like, man, I wouldn't want a place with a and then if you got like a condo where you have to kind of go up a bunch of stairs to your condo with groceries. No, thank you. No, thank you. Tom pops something in real quick. What's the experience working with Hawaii lenders and retired buyers on fixed income? Why don't we this is going to be a generic question I think that everyone's going to have. So we can hit this one over to you, Scott, as well. So thank you, Heidi. Is there anything else you want to add to this?
I guess commenting on one of the later questions about oceanfront and kind of finding a rental direct oceanfront. A lot of people that move to Maui and are looking for that have trouble finding it because most of the oceanfront condos, especially kind of in the more affordable to mid-range price points, allow vacation rentals. So most of those owners are going to be doing short-term vacation rentals. They're not going to want to rent to somebody long-term. So there's condos on Maui that allow vacation rentals, and there's condos that don't allow vacation rentals. And it's pretty easy if you just know which ones are which. But for somebody whose dream is to live right on the water, that can be a challenge unless you're looking at the really high end or, have a really big budget.
Yeah, and Ray has chimed in here on the walking issues. Yeah, walkability, no stairs, walk-in showers, handicap usable, real kitchen. Yes, 2 broken hips. Yeah, Ray, you are the precursor of everybody else because we're all going to get there one way or another. We're all gonna hit that age thing one way or another. I'm feeling it myself over here on a variety of levels. Scott, what's your advice for retirees? A retiree comes to you in the either district or finances. Maybe you touch on lenders. What would you kind of say things that retirees should be looking out for?
Districts to me come down to the lifestyle that you want. Do you want to be in the country? Do you want to be in the city? And is there a healthcare component that comes with it? If there's health issues and health needs, we obviously have to address that. And the further away you are from hospitals or the specialists and whatnot, that may be something that you're having to think about. If not, if everything's okay for now or whatever, you don't need that. It's not as important. You could live out on the North Shore and be in the country and live a quieter, kind of lifestyle if that's what you want. So district wise, I feel like it's a lifestyle thing. And part of that lifestyle is assessing all the needs from the healthcare side as well. As far as the impact, the home features, usually it's the single level bedroom, bathroom on the bottom floor. Or, here on Oahu, you say, okay, I go into a condo high rise where I'm taking an elevator. I'm not really dealing with stairs. That could be a component. And then on the financial considerations, it's interesting if you're retiring here, especially on Oahu, our property taxes are some of the lowest in the country. It's 3.5 cents per every $1,000 of assessed value. People shake their head when they see what our property tax bill is per year for owner occupants. So if you can afford the housing, the pros are if you can pay cash for the housing, which is the biggest expense that you're going to have when you're coming here, then you can actually live here relatively modestly because things like property taxes aren't that expensive. And I still remember I have this surfboard and it says on the bottom of it, thank God all rides are free. Our weather is so moderate and the temperature is so consistent. You can do so many things outdoors for free and live a very active lifestyle that from the financial standpoint, the housing component is the biggest thing, but you can offset that with a lot of other things. You don't need sweaters and other stuff like that. You need board shorts, t-shirts, and a flip-flop or rubber slippers, and that's about it. So you can even save on the clothing, right? That's kind of it on that side. The other con would be distance from family. That's the one big component, is you are living out here in the middle of the Pacific. So if family is important, then do you have that draw, to be back towards family?
Yeah, those are big components, and we've kind of, and that one's, again, that's really depending. There's not much you could do about that in terms of, moving out to Hawaii, but it's something that you have to take into account. Yeah, Ray is growing old is not for sissies, but it can be fun. Absolutely. We chose Oahu because of the great medical care and are getting healthy. Yeah, Ray, I've been really glad to hear that you've been sharing that in the variety of the Islander Ohana conferences that we've been having, and you and your wife are just a great model of that, and it's wonderful to see. JD, Scott found the best for me, so that's awesome. JD, I'm glad that you're here with us and sharing. Let's see, Dylan, what's your response? A lot of retirees on the Big Island that I'm aware of. What's your response to best practices or things of that nature, hot tips for retirees?
So the number one mistake I see retirees make on the Big Island is prioritizing budget and low-cost housing over desired lifestyle. And what I mean by that is you can get pretty low-cost housing on the Big Island. That's one of the advantages, is you can get an acre of land and a relatively nice house for $300,000 to $400,000 if you want to live in a really rural area. But what happens with that is, I've seen a lot of times retirees get bored or they feel lonely because they're kind of isolated. They're far away from everything. There is community there, but it's not like where you're in a town like Hilo or Kalua Condo, where you're going to have more activities and gatherings and groups and clubs and things like that. And you're also very far away from the larger, sometimes people just like to go to Target and browse, right? And if that's an hour and a half away, you're not going to do that very often. So that's one thing to really think about is it worth saving the money on the house and giving up those other lifestyle benefits? And like Scott said, I mean, there's so many things to do for free that you can pay more for a house in an area that you want to be at with nicer beaches and nicer parks and things like that. Those rural areas don't necessarily have all of those features. And so sometimes after a couple of years, retirees feel like, well, I need to sell and move to a different area because this doesn't afford me the lifestyle that I desire. So that's just one thing I would say could really think about is think about what your budget is and then what your desired lifestyle is, and try and make, find the balance in between, because you don't want to save on budget and then be unhappy. And the other thing I see people do is they buy too much house, right? There's also retirees that, and this is the hard conversation you got to have and really come to a realization. Everybody thinks I need the big house with a ohana or extra area because my kids are going to be here all the time. And then after 2 years, the kids have not come at all, or they've come once, and so do you really need to buy that big house and spend extra money, or maybe just rent a big house for 2 weeks, once a year, once every 2 years, when your family comes to visit, and they don't have to be in your house. So that's one way you can save money and put more money towards area versus size of home, and kind of think about that strategically. So I hate to break it to you, but your kids are not going to visit you as often as you think they are. That's almost 100% of the time I get that feedback from people who retire here.
Yeah, those are some really good points. Really good points. Certainly the size of the house. I think that's one thing that you really got to, my wife and I are having these conversations now as our kids have grown up and they've moved out, and we're like, now we've got this home that was built for a family of 4 or 5, and now it's 2, and we're like, what, this may not be the place for us.
I was having this conversation this week. People were asking me what the average size of a home is. And, it's like 1,500 to 2,000 square feet. I mean, a lot of homes are not bigger than 2,000 square feet. And for someone coming from Ohio or Idaho or Wisconsin, that's a tiny house, because you spend so much of the year inside your house that you need 3,000 square feet. But it's very rare, unless it's a luxury home or, a special built home. It's very rare. I would say, 80% of homes are under 2,000 square feet, definitely on the Big Island, because you don't spend that much time in your house. You don't need that much space.
Yeah, exactly. Go ahead, Scott.
That's probably one of the biggest things that I've learned having moved from the mainland. I remember my parents, when they lived in Shaker Heights in Cleveland, and they used to get those Lake Erie snows, it would just dump. And I came up to the circular driveway, and they had these 4-foot posts with a white post with a red tip on top. And I came in the summertime. I said, what the heck is that? They said, oh, that's where the snowplow needs to see where the driveway is when it's plowing the snow. And so my parents, obviously they'd stay indoors, and they had like 4,000 or 5,000 square feet of home, and there was just the 2 of them. Here, that's one of the biggest things that I've learned is, you come here, our Oahu was built from the urban core outward. So a lot of our inventory, and we had a big boom in the 60s and 70s right after statehood. So a lot of our homes are significantly older, and they're 900 or even 750 square feet to 1,500 square feet. But our weather is so warm all year round that you carry that outdoors. You're going to spend a lot of time out on the back deck, and your home actually can become bigger if you do have a back deck and a little patio space in the yard and things. So not only is your house probably going to be smaller, but you're probably going to be spending more time outdoors here than you would on the mainland.
Yeah, that is an excellent point that doesn't really sink in, no matter how many times you might be told that it doesn't really sink in until you've maybe been here for at least a little while and you've realized that, yeah, I'm really outside most of the time. Well, Scott, I know that JD's happy because he said, Scott found the best for me condo, very close to concert hall, museum, hospital, and a great bus system. Big heart. So JD, this is why you're with the team here, buddy. This is why you're with Dylan and Scott and Heidi. These are some of the best people that you're gonna find with great experiences that are all part of the team. All right, this has been a great conversation. Is there anything else that anybody has that we forgot? What about the we didn't touch too much on Tom's question about the lenders and retired buyers on fixed income. Anybody want to try to take a crack at that one?
If you're on the verge of retiring, this is a discussion you need to have now, because a lot of times when you go from being a worker to retired, your income changes, and there's a lot of different variations on what that means, where your retirement incomes comes from, or if you're living off of savings or different investments. And so it can significantly change your ability to qualify for a mortgage. And so a lot of times, in many cases, I've had lenders recommend to a buyer to keep working, close on the home, and then once you close on the home, then you can retire. Because after you're closed, it doesn't matter, right? As long as you pay your mortgage, the bank doesn't care. But if you retire and then your situation changes, now they're going to look at your current income, and if they don't look at it or treat it the same way as work income, it could totally blow up your qualification for a mortgage. And so you really want to have that conversation if you're on the verge. If you're already retired, then have a conversation. There may be a way where you could structure your retirement income to increase your qualification, because it's a very interesting thing. People are always surprised, right? I got $3 million in the bank, but I have no income. So you don't qualify for a mortgage, right? Like, because you need to have income. They don't really care about how much money you have on hand. But there's a lot of different ways and programs and stuff. So you got to have that discussion with a mortgage broker that knows the ins and outs. So that's an expert in that area.
Hey, so actually, as someone myself who is planning for my retirement years, though they're probably a ways off, I am curious, how does the let's talk about someone who's in retirement. They've got and let's say they've got they're getting their Social Security payments, and let's say they've got a portfolio in a retirement portfolio, not a pension. So there's not like a fixed government pension or a company pension, but they've got a retirement portfolio, and the retirement portfolio is generating a certain amount they have a retirement portfolio, and they're withdrawing on that retirement portfolio, and that would be their income. So let's just say, for discussion purposes, they're withdrawing $50K a year on their retirement portfolio. And let's just say, again, for discussion, they're pulling $25K a year from Social Security. So they're getting $75K a year that they're pulling out as, quote, income. Now, does the bank ask for, I'm assuming the bank is going to say, okay, your income is $75K. Now, the question I've got is, does the bank also want to see detailed financials of how big your portfolio is? Do you have a $10 million portfolio or a $1 million portfolio? Is it a risky portfolio that you're all in stocks and something, or, do they weigh that at all? Or does the bank say, look, you've been withdrawing $75K a year for the past 2 years or more on retirement. As far as we're concerned, you're at $75K. How does that work? Scott, go ahead.
So you're getting into a very detailed lending question.
Sorry.
But I just went through this actually. I went through this in two scenarios. One we were looking at where the assets are big, but the income, all the income's being written off. And all these loans that you see that you're quoted on online and things are income-based loans. What is your income coming in? What's your monthly income? And that's how they base the loan off of. So if you're in retirement and you don't have that income coming in somewhere, you have to show some kind of stream of income. And to go back to even your point about, if you're showing $75,000 a year, well, part of that play is making regular, consistent draws over a period of time so that you can show it as basically regular income, even though it's coming out of the portfolio account. The other thing is then these loans aren't available all the time. They're the asset-based loans where if you can show the portfolio of assets, you can actually get a loan on that through a very few lenders, and the interest rate is higher. And I know the lenders to be able to put you in touch with for that. But those are some of the options. But it's all about game planning. It's all about, meeting with us ahead of time. What are we looking at doing? Let's strategize on that component.
Excellent, really good point. So what I'm hearing about this, and hey, folks, all the retirees or those planning for retirement in the audience, pop your questions in. This is a great point. So what I just heard you say, Scott, is twofold. Number one is you can get an asset-based loan, but you got to go through a bunch of hoops, and there may be a higher interest rate because it's a higher risk, etc. So you can do an asset-based loan, and the other one would be if it is based on income, make sure your income is consistent, sort of consistent draws, as the word that you use. You're pulling consistent draws for several years, so you can say, look, over the past 2 or 3 years, I have been pulling out $50K at the rate of $4K a month, so to speak, out of the bank, and so I would naturally kind of potentially qualify for that.
And there's another way to look at that too, from the planning point. Okay, what do you want to qualify for? What do you want to buy? Oh, that? Okay. Well, then the draws need to be this, right? This amount, so that you qualify. It's all in the planning component.
It's all in the planning. Yeah, all in the planning. Good one. Excellent. Troy popped up a question. Do you have information for retirement from Canada? Mother-in-law wants to retire in Hawaii, but unsure with Canadian citizenship. Let me give you a quick answer, Troy. She's got to be an American citizen. And if she's not an American citizen, the best you could do is, there are a lot of Canadian snowbirds, though, Scott. I'm going to be really interested to kind of find out what's going to happen with those Canadian snowbirds. Now, what we've had up to now is we have we call them snowbirds, folks that come from Canada, and they come up here and they stay during the winter months, and then they go back when spring comes, when spring kind of rolls around. Typically that's like a 3 or 4 month period. But with the new regulations for Oahu, where it's still considered a short-term rental as opposed to a longer-term rental, they may have their prices may change. It may be more expensive. So Troy, what I would say right off the bat is, your mom can come as a tourist. I don't know what the visa is. You have to look at the tourist visa requirement from Canada. I think it's 6 months. Scott, I don't know if anyone's got any info on what okay. So Scott's nodding 6 months. It's a 6 month visa. Then she's got to go back. Although the prices may change because of this whole short-term vacation rental business, it might be kind of funky. So that's what I would do, Troy. Tom comes back. So I guess I'm taking my company's offer to keep working as a virtual employee in Hawaii until I get the mortgage. Exactly, Tom. Keep the job, keep the job, keep the income, get the mortgage, and then you could quit and do whatever you want to do. So, great. Auntie Joyce comes back and she says, we vacationed on Big Island for 4 years and knew this was it. Wanted a simpler life, so other islands didn't fit. Then we found the perfect realtor in Dylan and his brother, who gave us great advice. Yes, Auntie Joyce, indeed. Dylan and company, or Dylan in this case, Dylan and brother, are great sources. Okay, gang, keep your questions coming. We're gonna move on to the next part of our show, where when I get to it over here, let me get to the right slide. Okay, here's the slide. Okay, we got diamonds and deals. So this is where we have some fun properties that our friends are bringing to show us, either diamonds in the rough, if you will. Or diamonds, diamond incredible properties like the $78 million Bezos property, or deals, prices that are below market value for one reason or another. So let's kind of go to our first one over here. And it looks like Heidi is giving us this one over here. This is Wailuku, Maui, 3-bedroom, 2-bath condo, $549. Looks nice. Heidi, what is this?
Well, this is definitely a deal. There's very little inventory of 3-bedroom condos. Most are 1 or 2 bedrooms, and listed at $549,000. It's fee simple, remodeled. It has a little yard. It's in central Maui, which is going to be close to shopping, close to the airport, at $549,000. And it actually just went under contract.
Yeah, I was going to say that Heidi, that looked like a deal. A 3-bedroom, 2-bath for a $549. It's like, man, that is a winner. Is that fee? Is that fee simple, or?
It is fee simple.
Wow. Okay. Well, it's a deal, and that's why it's gone. that's why it's sold. Excellent. Thank you, Heidi. What do we got here? We got the Kalua Condo on the opposite end of the spectrum of it. A gorgeous location. Looks like. Scott, give us this. Well, what are we looking at here?
Yeah, this is Windward Passage, which is right in the heart of Kailua. So I picked this one, and I like this one because not only, especially this unit, renovated, good size floor, which in Kailua is fairly flat for the most part. So you don't get a whole lot of view opportunities from single family homes. And this is one of the few high rise towers in Kailua. And because you're in the heart of downtown, walkability is perfect for this. You can walk anywhere you want to go. It's literally right around the corner from Target, Whole Foods, all those, the whole 9 yards. And this is a higher floor, so you get the views. And then it's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2 parking for almost 1,200, a little less than 1,250 square feet for $965,000. It has all the amenities, pool, tennis courts, the workout facility, et cetera, secure building and whatnot. So I've always liked this building. It's, to me, unique because you don't get the high-rise opportunity in Kailua. You get on a higher floor here, you're overlooking everything.
Yeah, that I was going to say 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2 parking. That's just rare, period. But to get that with the high rise.
And you don't need a car at that point because you just walk to everything. So
and you don't need a car at that. Yeah, absolutely. Well, Uncle Ray here is popping us back some feedback here in that, our retirements are permanent government based and will not change and are not taxed. Mortgage company like that. Yeah, well, as government guarantees, right, Ray? So it's you got that consistent income. You kind of can't go wrong. Can't go wrong. Good shot. And of course includes Social Security income. Yeah, absolutely. All right, what do we got next here? Let's take a look. We got Dylan's property. Dylan, this is Banyan Bay. That's a great spot. You talked about something like
this earlier. This one didn't reload.
Okay. So let me. So I was gonna say, what's that? Like the one that was last week, right? So let's back up here. Technical issues. We're gonna kind of hop in back to the other one, right? There we go. Oh yeah. So Dylan did this one right here. He's going to outdo himself, and we have a 5-bedroom, 5-bath in Hualalai Resort, 18.5. I think that's the highest priced property we've seen yet, Dylan. What are we looking at here?
Well, this is funny because we don't coordinate these. So Scott and Heidi had somewhat of a deal with really nice properties, but this is one of those diamonds, and this is in Hualalai Resort, which is one of our exclusive high-end resorts. But if you look at this, it's on 1 acre and a third, so it's a big lot and just a killer view. And that's Maui in the distance. If you can look in, at the horizon of the ocean, there's a cloud line, and then that peak above it is Haleakala. So I mean, just a crazy luxury property that if you want to live the lifestyle of your dreams, this is the place to do it. So this and these are common. I mean, these the plus $10 million properties are pretty common on the Big Island, and amazingly they sell. It's not
well, I mean,
there's quickly. So
there's a sort of this Big Island crowd, right? That I remember once I was flying into the airport on the Kona side, and as you land, you see there's just rows and rows and rows of all the private jets, right? It's really become literally a jet setting kind of a spot, Dylan, right? Hasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, Charles Schwab has a home out there, Michael Dell. I mean, there's all kinds of just billionaire people that have homes in these resorts. There's 3 or 4 of these luxury, and it's funny, right? I mean, it's about imagination and vision. I mean, these were just lava fields, and now they've transformed them into these luxury resorts where they sell $10+ million homes. So exclusive golf courses. I had a friend that worked out at the golf course, and these people are paying like $250,000 a year for a golf course membership, and it's like $375,000 they can buy in, and they come maybe twice. They'll stop on their way back from Hong Kong, play 6 holes of golf, and then go back to New York, and they'll do that like twice a year for a cool $250,000. So
yeah, it's really
money beyond what we can fathom.
How's that go? Way above our pay scale. It's at a whole other level. What's interesting? One thing that you brought up, and I just kind of wanted to comment on it, is you mentioned. Let me bring up the picture because it's got a nice visual. Again, if you folks look in the background there, as Dylan said, there's like that dark line. That dark line is Haleakala, Maui, right, Dylan? Is that what you said?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. I think that's one of the coolest things, isn't it? When you could and Heidi, you had mentioned where somewhere where whether the property that you had where you can kind of see into the other islands or whatever. No, but my point is, it's really cool to be able to be on some kind of near ocean on your island and be looking out and to be able to see the other islands, right? Like on Oahu, for example, if you go around the southeast corner, you could look out and on a clear day you can see Maui, Molokai, and Lanai. And it's just like I think it's just like one of the coolest things. I don't know if you guys want to comment on that at all.
But it also makes you realize how far away and how big the island chain is. So even though you can see the island, it's a long ways away. And actually, it's not that far. Right? It's like, I think 80, 90 miles tip to tip, Big Island to Maui, but that's a long 80 and 90 miles. I mean, it's not like we're all bunched up close together. You can swim in between them. So,
well, 40 miles is the horizon is 40 miles, right? Or something like that. Like if you're past 40 miles away, you'll dip under the horizon or something of that nature. I'm not too sure what the exact
I think
numbers.
it's 6.
6? Oh,
you can see 6 miles on the horizon. Yeah.
So cool. Yeah. So Heidi, what was that place that you mentioned? There was something that you were mentioning that you can see the other island from where you are or something like that. Oh, from where you live.
Yeah. So from where I live, I can see Molokai and I can also see Lanai. And then from South Maui, you can see Ko'olave and then a little Molokini crater. And on really clear days, you could see from some places Oahu and the Big Island. And it makes you feel less alone in the ocean just to look out and see another island. And
There's something else out there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's totally cool. Auntie Joyce is chiming in over here. Yeah, thank you, Auntie, for bringing all this up. Good to see you again, too. Did anyone notice Dylan's shirt matches the background? I did not. Now, Dylan, was that planned or unplanned? I got to know. Did you actually figure that out or just got lucky?
I'll give you the short story real quick. So when we came up here, I came up here with 7 agents from my team, all female. And of course they wanted to have like matching outfits, right? That was important. And it actually was a big hit because we were in a group and everybody was admiring our Aloha wear. But this is from Living Hula, my go-to, shop in Kona. And, they'll make a bunch of different prints based off of, or a bunch of different designs, so different types of, women's dresses and shirts and stuff. And then they make Aloha shirts too. So you can easily get for lots of different people a matching Aloha wear, and it's not from Walmart, right? So anyways, luckily I had some Aloha wear. That's the story of why I'm in Vegas, and because I wouldn't normally be wearing this in Las Vegas, right? So that's how the Aloha shirt got to Las Vegas.
Well, you planned it out perfectly because it matches like almost to the T to the background there, that the curtain. So either you pick the right shirt or you pick the right room, or just God had a way of working it out to where it all matched. It looks great. Nina kicked in. We see Maui from Kona Big Island. Yes, absolutely. Yes, you see Maui, and Tom is giving us his mahalo as always. And it's been a great show as always, folks. I really enjoyed it. All right, let's kind of wrap this up. We're going to go into our closing thoughts, and Dylan is in Vegas, so I'm going to let Dylan open it up with give us the Dylanism, Dylan, that you got for this week.
Well, I'm going to go back to that discussion in the beginning about, just being a culture of compliance and going along to get along. And one of my favorite things that I read later on in life, but, I spent a lot of my life fighting and arguing with people. And Dale Carnegie in his book, How to Influence People, How to Win Friends and Influence People, there's a story about him arguing and correcting a guy at a cocktail party that one of his friends took him to try and get a book deal when he was young. And when they left, the guy, and I won't go into the details, it's a long story, but the guy was like, well, why'd you correct him on that? You were right, but why'd you correct him? He says, because I knew I was right. And he said, but you had no benefit for embarrassing him in front of the people that we were standing with and proving him wrong. This is a guy that could help you get a book deal. And the lesson he learned was, if there's no benefit, don't argue, right? And sometimes people want to be contrarian and they want to fight, and there's zero benefit. All it does is cause stress and strife and make you unhappy. And so I think it's just a good rule to live by in life. Like, if you have a belief that I don't agree with, if it doesn't hurt me, I don't care. I'm not going to argue with you.
Yeah, boy, you really you're ringing home for me. I have been a contrarian probably my entire life. So but yeah, as I get older, I find the need to debate is less.
And it absolutely applies to real estate, right? When we walk into a house, I tell my agents all the time, if you don't like the drapes, don't point that out, because the person that you're with may love the drapes or love the carpet, and you're just injecting a negative thought into the situation that doesn't need to exist, right? So if it doesn't violate our fiduciary duty, obviously, if you see something that affects the market value, or we have a fiduciary duty to point out, you talk about it. But if you don't like the tile color, shut your damn mouth. Like it has nothing to do with it. Your opinion doesn't matter in that situation. So
Excellent. Yeah, great closing thought. Great closing thought. Scott, what about you? What's your closing thought for today?
Yeah, I know it's a tough market, and it's also aligns with my personality and personality type, but it's some people want it to happen, some wish it would happen, others make it happen. And in this kind of marketplace, I'm seeing people make it happen, but it takes extra effort and some guts and determination.
Yeah, you have to be willing to you just got to be willing to do what it takes, and ride yourself through, and kind of whatever it is that frankly in life, it's a marathon, it's not a sprint. And that marathon, if you kind of keep at it, it will work. Heidi, what's your closing thought today?
Continue the journey and trust the process and just keep on going. And I'm just really grateful to work with some awesome buyers right now who are just have a great attitude and keep going. And often when one thing doesn't work out, something else even better ends up happening in the future. And then looking back, you're like, oh, thank you. That other property didn't work out because we got something even better. So it's all about your attitude and keep going.
Yeah, it certainly is. It is all about attitude. There's no doubt about that. Mine for today, I came across this and I really enjoyed it. I do a daily read of Bible verses, which really kind of helped me. This one I really enjoyed. Says, brethren, he who sows sparingly will also reap sparingly. He who sows bountifully will also reap bountifully. And then the one that really kind of stuck out to me is, each one must do as they are made up in their minds, not reluctantly or under compulsion. God loves a cheerful giver. That really kind of impressed upon me, that whole idea is that, it's a cheerful, what really struck out me was a cheerful giver, is to cheerfully give. And I think about that, like, when we go to restaurants or valet or whatever, and when we tip the valet, I'm happy. I've cultivated this attitude of being happy to give the valet a 20 if I can, or extra more than they would give, or give a higher tip. And not because I'm feeling like I am obligated to it, but I'm happy to do it. And that has helped me a lot. A cheerful giver sows bountifully, will reap bountifully. All right, folks, that's the thought for today. Great to Ray. Thanks over here. Mahalo. Good to always hear from y'all. Great to see you. Awesome. Great that you're a part of it. And Corey, love the Cadillac logo. Hope to see you again. Great info today. Glad you enjoyed it. And want you all to have a good day. Let's give our alohas real quick. Let's go clockwise. Dylan, Scott, and then Heidi. Say goodbye, everybody. Goodbye, everyone.
Aloha, everybody from the 9th Island.
Aloha. Have a good day.
Aloha from Maui.
All right. See y'all later. Have a good one. Aloha.